Hey guys, afternoon everybody, and today we are looking at the research laboratory, or as called in my game, research station. Now, last night we started working on this, and we noticed one of two things. Well, actually, last night there was a YouTube problem. I think everybody had it, which is still causing problems, but we shall carry on regardless. So, we created these things. Right now, this was a download from Epic from a few months back called the Science Lab. Now we're refactoring it a bit and changing this material to suit our needs. And this is going to indicate what research you're doing by the colour in the tanks. That's the idea. Okay, so the one problem you'll see from this is that each of the tanks has kind of the same effect going on at the same time, right? So the idea here is to change the material settings on the fly to basically sort our issue. Okay, now we have created a building called the research station, which is this thing here, but it's actually based on another blueprint which you can see here. And we actually started, and I don't know if the video lasted that long last night before it was cut off, but we created in our construction script a dynamic material, right? That dynamic material is pulling from a data table, and it's basically getting a colour. Okay, now at the moment we've only got one colour set up, which is red, but what I did notice is in our material we have an extra couple of things that we can do to muck about with our water. Okay, now this was the default, and what we're going to do with this is, if you look, there's a panel speed 2 and a panel speed 3. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're actually going to adjust these slightly so that it gives us a kind of different effect on each one. And that, my friends, is the idea here. So what we're going to do is, so it's panel speed no space, then it's panel speed no space space 2. Okay, so if we go back to our thing here and we go back to our device 2 where we create the dynamic device, what we're going to do is we're going to double click here and we're going to do a set scalar parameter, right? And so we're going to do that, and that's going to be panner. Okay, get our fingers in the right place so we can actually type. So that's panner speed. We're going to do the same thing again, and then again. Now we are going to have to multiply these up and down to give us our final answer. Okay, so in the meantime, let's add in our database or data table. And then let's sort this out a bit. Now I'm going to apologise in advance here because we have thunderstorms overhead. So if I suddenly cut off, it's probably not me. It's probably the work of nature. Okay. So we're setting our vectors, then we're setting our scalars. Okay, so we'll set that up over here. Now, what we want to do is obviously add these in. We shall just take our time today, no hurry. It's not a speed test to get things done, as some people seem to think. More haste, less speed, as they say. And we need to set this to speed 2 and speed 3. And the final thing we need to do is check out what sort of numbers we need to actually do for this. So panner speed is 0.05. So right, okay, so it's 0.05. So what we shall do is float in range and we shall do 0.004 to 0.006. Okay. Hi, Renexy Studio. I'm making a cross between Factorio, Satisfactory, and Surviving Mars with a touch of RimWorld. How does that sound? Probably sounds like a ghastly Frankenstein. But hey ho, that's the way it goes, I'm afraid. So this is going to be minus 0.02. Now I don't know if this works on the negative negative 0.04. And the final one, which is 2. Are you working on something yourself, Rexy? So we go with that. And finally, our last panner speed is, I believe, 0.1. Okay, so we shall go with 0.01 to 0.19. This isn't, I'm not actually, damn it. I'm not actually trying to change the way this functions here. I'm just trying to randomize it up a bit so that all the, I'll show you, right? All the containers, all these things are kind of different, just slightly different. Okay? We don't want them to be completely different. And we might have overdone it with something there. Right, so right, we've got a bit of too much on something there, I think. So what we'll do is we shall go back to here, go to the construction script, and we shall turn these basically off and on. Right, so if we do that, then we get nothing, okay? So let's turn on our first parameter, okay? And that pretty much gives us nothing. So it would appear that all of these are kind of required. Right? And we've still got no movement. Now, I'm just wondering here. Yeah, these aren't really moving at all. So it's this last one that's basically controlling everything. Or probably not, actually. If I set that to 0.1, right, I'll bet you everything's going now. Right, okay. So if we go back to our construction, we've got these two, and I think what we can do is leave that as it is. Actually, you know why that was going so fast? It's because that was I had that set to 1. It should be 0.02, let's say. And now, if we look at this, and now, these should all be kind of slightly different. And yeah, you can kind of see it. Yeah, cool. So now we can see that each of these are kind of slightly different. Okay. So if we go back here and into our construction script, we can kind of leave it at that. And yeah, there we go. Okay. Now for the boring part, guys. Now for the boring part. What we need to do is set up our research colors. Now, I'm going to go through this, right? And I'll tell you why. Because most people think that it's all fun and games making a game. If you're still there, Rinksy, let me know and I'll show you what we've got so far. Otherwise, we're going to do something really boring. Right, but I'm warning you now that this is the type of thing that unfortunately you need to do. There's just no getting away from it. Right, so we've got our colours, and we've actually got all our colours. Right, so fundamentally we need to go through these and set them all up. Right, so if we've got green, then we need to set up green, right, which you would think would be that, then 1, right, but the thing is we want to check this red colour, and fine. So let's check this first colour again. We want the first one to be slightly not so green. Then we want this to be a darker one, and we want this to be a darker one still, right? So we want this to be actually kind of like that. Okay. And then we want the SSS colour, that's going to be like the pure green, and we'll OK that. And then this is when this, for some unknown reason, decides not to work properly. We'll go with that. Then this is going to be like a kind of darker green. So we'll save that. Now we can quickly check this, right? Because we can go back to our device, and rather than selecting that, in the end we will select that, but what we'll do is we'll select green and check it now, and then we get our green. Okay. So we get our green colour, which is all nice. Okay. And the next one is we add. So basically we're going to add. We've got 10 of these colours, okay? So this one is going to be blue. And once again, we shall go for a kind of darker blue, I suppose, and the SSS becomes the brighter blue. Right, we're going to go with the colour wheel here. Go with that. And then this is going to be like a much sort of dirtier, darker blue, which it kind of isn't, but we'll go with that. Right, we'll do one more test and then we'll just basically set it. We'll only check it. I didn't type in blue, but it is this one. We can fix that in a second, and there's our blue. Okay, so we now see that we've got our blue. So what we can do is we can just do all of the colours, or at least get a few of them done. Now I shouldn't have done as many as 10. That would suggest that we need 10 different colours of research, which we probably don't, but hell. So this is purple, we do that, We're going to go with a kind of lighter purple. Then this one becomes the really purple. And then this one is the kind of dirty purple, which is going to be like that. So we'll go with that. Save that. Then we'll type in purple. And we'll do the 6, right? I didn't want to punish you too much. So this is going to be white, except it's not. It's going to be kind of grey. Then this one is going to be like the brighter white. And then this is going to be like the very darker bright white. Practically black. So we'll go with that. Right? Save that. And then, so this is white. Not too sure what the next one is. I hope it's not something horrible. Well, actually it's black. Not keen on black. What we'll do is we'll do one of the other ones and we'll go with violet. Now I've got absolutely no idea what colour violet is, so we're going to have to do, is it not a kind of purple? So we'll type in violet RGB. One, 4, 3, 2. Right. Okay. So basically, the SSS is going to be about 0.6, and the blue is going to be 1. Right, and I'm going to go with the fact that this is violet is kind of purpley. I think there's no getting away from that. Right, but this is going to be like a really dark one, so we'll go with that. And then this one is going to be like super dark. So we'll go with that. Right. So let's have a look how these look when we actually apply them. Okay. Right, so we'll go with violet. Looks okay. What do you guys think? You think that looks okay? I think it looks okay. And the next thing is we go back to our construction string, and the one we're looking at is going to be white. Yeah, I can buy that. I can buy that. And we shall check on purple, which is probably going to be pretty similar to the other colour, which was violet. We can amend these and make them different sorts of colours, you know. But the principle is that we can change the colour depending on what research we're doing, right? So that's the point here. Okay. So we can live with that. And so there's that. Okay, now the next thing we need to do, now I'm going to take you through the whole process of this, right? This is the way I do it for the moment, right? It's not going to be, this is going to be a completely different process if you were in a professional studio or whatever. But we kind of have to do it the quick and easy version. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our maps, and this will show you exactly what all the different steps I've got to do to bring this into the game, right? So we've got our blueprint, but we don't have an image for the button. Okay, so we are in line with our base, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the edge of the world, or the edge of our plane, okay? And we could have speeded the camera up a bit, but we'll get there, don't worry. Right, so we're just about at the edge here, just about the edge, and there we go, right? So if we look back, what we can actually do here now is drop that building in. Right, you'll see what the point of this is in a minute. Okay. So we're going to do it there. Then what we're going to do is basically get a nice angle on it to take a picture. Then we're going to click off it. Right, that should do us, but we're going to have to do it in game. So we press play, then we move our camera to the right place, which should be over here somewhere, and there we go. Right, so what we can do now is we can bring it into view and we take a screenshot. Basically, we can stop it, then delete it, and then what we do is we bring up paint.net, right? We paste it, then we get a square, and that's not going to work. Ignore the stuff on the right, guys. That just shows you how unpopular I am on YouTube. Right, so we need it to be higher but not wider. So we grab that, that'll do it. Copy that, file, new. We OK that, then we paste it. Then what we do is we do our magic wand, and we delete, and we delete again, and we delete that, and we delete this stuff here, Hey, Kofi, how are you? Tower defense. Now, if you check the description, I have actually made a tower defense game and it's on Steam. It depends on what features are going to be in your tower defense game. Also depends on your skill level to what you're going to be able to implement or not in your tower defense game. Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to go with that, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the brush size on this to 12, and I'm just going to rub stuff out basically, even though that's not actually doing anything. So instead of doing that, what we're going to do is that I don't need this to be perfect right now. I just want a button that kind of represents the research lab. So I'm not going to be too bothered about it up until here. So what we'll do is we shall file, save, and we import it to here. And that's not the menu buttons. Could be. Right, building images. And this is going to be research. Okay. So that'll do for now. And what we're going to do is we're now going to bring this back in. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our UI and buildings menu, except not. We're going to be going to images, I believe. Right, so it's going to be buildings, and here's all our buildings. Then we're going to go to our imports, which is where we saved that. Then menu buttons, buildings, and research. There we go. Double click to open it. Change it to UI. Save that. And there we go. Right. Now the next thing we need to do, as you can see, all of this takes time and we're absolutely nowhere near actually achieving anything here. Hopefully somebody will get the joke. Right, the next thing we need to do is to go into our buildings menu, right, and add this to our buildings menu. Okay. And it looks to me like the building type is coming from an enum somewhere, which is probably going to be in buildings. Yep. Right, so we're going to have to add a new one. Okay, research. So we have the proper type now. Okay. and back to our menu buildings, and we're going to add one, and it's just going to be called research. And the building name, let's call it research station for a laugh. Building type is going to be research. Building class is going to be research station. Image, what did I call it? What did I call that? Did I call it anything that was to do with research? Yeah, apparently I did. Well, that was a bit of luck, don't you think? We don't have. We don't actually really have a mesh for this. Now, this is the mesh for. Right, what we're going to do is see, these are the ones here. Right, we're just going to use the fabricator one for now, right? It's only going to come up when we're trying to place it. Starter workers 1, maximum that. Then we need to add what you need to build it. We'll just add the usual stuff so that we can build it straight away. So we'll just say bauxite, and we'll have copper ore. Sound good to you? Sound good to you guys? Player can build, yes. Save that. So now, when we start our game, we're going to have to go back to our menu to start this off again. Save everything, I suppose. Right. Before we do anything, save all. Well, I'd already saved, so there we go. Okay. Let's go. Continue. Build a building. And apparently it doesn't come up. And that's because I don't think I actually put it in the menu buildings, apart from the fact that I did. We changed this to the wrong thing. Right, fabricator, starting workers 1, maximum 20. And we actually changed the wrong one, and it didn't come up because that was set to player can't build. So we're just going to say bauxite 10, and we're going to say copper ore 10. That'll do us. Save that. Run this again. Continue. And there we go. Voila. Isn't that a beautiful sight when it all comes to plan? Okay. So the next thing we need to do is apply it to the correct research. Okay? And the research is going to come from the controller. And the controller is going to come from the research tree. So that might no longer be the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut everything down, and then we're going to look at our research tree, because I'm pretty sure, well, okay, first things first. We're going to go to the research station, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to have our building workers, right? But we're also going to have comp research. Where's the research component? Okay, we don't seem to have a research component, which is a bit weird. So let's check our controller. Yeah, there it's there, BPC research. Okay, so it's called BPC research, right? So what we've got to do is add this. So we go BPC research, and now we've got a research component, right? And if we open that up, well, we're going to have to find it. So it's going to be not in there. So apparently it's over in research, and there it's there. So this does the research, but what we need to do is set up, when we click the research tree, we need to set up the research component to tell it what to research. Okay? So if we go into our research tree in our widgets, and we look at a research button, this is the part here that does the stuff, basically. And this is coming to the player component. Sorry. Yeah, the player controller, right? This is coming to the player controller, but we don't want that. Okay? What we actually want to do is we want to get actors of class, and it's going to be BP underscore research station, and then we do this part. Okay? So what we'll do is we'll move this across, because every research station is going to need to be told what research it's going to do. which is kind of the point here. Right, so this is going to go in here. This is still going to stay the same, right? But this is going to be a for each loop. Do a for each loop, and this is going to be coming off the complete. So we're going to stop that. Okay, so that doesn't like that very much. So we'll bring this down out of the way for the moment. And basically this is going to plug in here. And the array element is going to plug in here. And that should be that. Okay. So the way we can test this is if we go into our BPC thingy, we can go to the event graph and add a breakpoint to process research. Okay. What we'll do is we'll do a save all. And if we press play, continue, right, and we build a research place, and then, oh, we've certainly screwed this up. Ah, I know why that is. Right. That's the save load game thing. Right, what we need to do is we need to start a new game. We can OK that. Let's have a look at this. Oh dear. Oh dear, we have a problem. I wonder. Okay. Well, that's kind of strange. Okay, never mind. For now, I'm going to check if this actually works. Okay, so there's that. And if we go to our research, right, we need to delete all this stuff, but what we're really interested in is the BPC research. So you'll notice it's set to nothing right now, but if we click on that and then click on that, it did something. Right, it did something, that's for sure. So when we event begin play, that's fine. When it sets new, right, so it set it to probe 1. So it has actually done it. It has actually done it. Okay. So if we disable that and run it, you should, yeah, this whole icon ain't refreshing, right? So we're gonna have to do that. Strangely, this was working the other day. I haven't done anything to it as far as I can remember. I didn't lose any data or do any weird stuff. But we're gonna have to have a look at that. But as you saw, our research has actually, well, that's went a bit weird. It's research completed. And this is still on. So all that's a bit weird. Okay, so we'll need to start having a think about tidying that up. But we shall do that straight after I have a cigarette. So, check out the description, guys. Links to Discord and stuff like that. And I shall be back in a couple of minutes. Okay guys, we're back. And now, what we really need to do is take a look at this, these buttons on the research tree, because that's a bit weird, wouldn't you say? So, it should be on the main tree as well. Might have to take a look in here. Let's see what's going on, shall we? So we build the grid, we do that, we do all that stuff. We want to put a breakpoint here. And then in the fill widget, we want to do that. And we want to check these values coming in, basically. Is kind of what we want to do. So, let's check that out. It's a bit of a strange one, to be honest. So do we have a struct? Who knows at this point? We shall resume. And now we have our current status. So we step over. And that's green. Right, and that's research. Now that's the bit that was shown, right? Right, we'll step over. Step over. And do we have an image? Resource object, nothing. Right, so it looks like the structure isn't getting passed in. Right. So it looks like this is actually set to nothing. So we're kind of not passing this in. So if we resume that, it's going to run a few times, by the way. So what we'll do, disable that, resume, we'll disable that, resume. Right, so it appears the structure isn't coming in, is the basic fundamental problem. So it looks like our items aren't getting created. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a breakpoint here. Right, and this is the part that says build the grid. So I'm expecting this to be empty. Okay, which it's not, because obviously it keeps creating the buttons, but it doesn't have the default values in it, right? So in our controller, when we first press play, and it's in the game does not exist, so we're creating a new game, right? And we are basically saving this. We get this, and we're pulling it for the saved data, or sorry, we're setting it in the saved data. Right, and it looks to me yeah, that should be actually right. Okay, so let's do that, right? And what it's doing is it's getting the game instance and then setting it to this, right? So what we should actually see here, if we add the breakpoint, right? If we create a new game and call it haha, right? That is now correct. And this should have stuff in it, which it does. Okay. We resume. Right, so this is in the FE controller. We resume that. Okay. Answer gaming. Right, I'm not quite understanding this issue here. Right, so if we do new game, right? So if that's getting set, I don't understand why it's empty then. Okay, so let's take a look at that, right? If we go back to here, we're doing this, load the initial tree, Then we set the save data in this, and then we save the game to the slot, right? So then we load the initial tree, right? So if we add this breakpoint, okay, so if we come out of the game and then say continue, it should go in there, and that is something, right? And we're setting the game instance struct values to there, right? So that should be correct. But this appears to be nothing. Well, it's not nothing, but it's empty. Right, am I losing my mind here? Okay, tell you what, right? We'll use our event tick. We know that that isn't nothing at this point, right? We know that for a fact. Okay? So, hang on. No, we don't. I know what it is. I think I know what it is. I think it's been reset by this. I think the easy save thing is mucking it up. Right? I'm telling you, if I do that, right, we'll stop it a minute, okay? What we'll do is pull that to there. I mean, if this is the case, then we don't actually need to do this. Right? But we do need to do, and we do need to kind of do this. Maybe. Right. So what I believe here is the easy multi-save is screwing around with our player controller, which it does do. Right? Because it saves the player controller as it is. So if we're then loading it in off the instance, then we don't actually need to do that. So, yeah, that would kind of make sense. But it still doesn't. There's a strange thing. Or maybe not. We'd have to do that. and that would have to be this here as well. Right. So we'd have to continue. It'd have to come in there, step over, step over, step over, and then these are going to be nothing, I believe. Oh, it's not going to tell us for now. Yeah, I mean, it's doing it for every single. So somewhere, somewhere, our save of, wow, this is a weird one to go back to. I mean, I don't think we're doing anything really that different here. Right? We're not always saving, right? If I don't save the actors or load the actors, then we should be okay. Right? But what I want to see, and we're probably not going to be able to have time to see it, is when basically when the length of that, right, the length of that array actually becomes, well, no, that's not true. It's when those are getting set, those values are getting set, right? And it's not that struct research. Okay. This is no longer actually required. So basically we can delete that. And if we look at the game instance, oh, this is a bit of a weird one. No, for the first time, of course, in life. So we're only really interested in the set, right? And the only time it gets set is here. Right? Now, if that's the case, then let's take a look at this research tree again. Let's see if it's interfering with anything. Right, that's just doing a panel widget. That's just clearing it. This is just getting the each value from the struct research. what we'll do is we'll put a print string in here. Right. Then we shall break that. We shall put that straight into there. Change that to 20 seconds. Then now this should print out the names of all our research items, right? So if we continue, what? What just happened? What on earth just happened? I didn't change anything, and yet there it is, it's all back. What the hell? Right. Eh? Okay, if anybody wants to explain that, that would be nice. Now, what I'm going to do with the player controller is, I'm going to find out if this is actually affecting it. Now, it certainly shouldn't be affecting it if we... Right, let's see. Apparently it's okay. I mean, this would have nothing in it anyway, right? At this point, because we haven't saved anything. Right? Okay. I don't know. Right? Unreal Engine. I'm gonna go for Unreal Engine had a moment, okay? Let's take that back out, right? I'll delete this back out. Don't know, guys, don't know. Have no idea why it's doing that, right? Strange one indeed. well, there are sometimes things just do weird things, I suppose. Right, we're going to save that. And now I completely forgot where we actually are. Completely forgotten where we actually are in this. Or what we were doing at any. Right, so basically what we were doing was we were doing this stuff. Well, we were checking that stuff. And we're doing this stuff. Now this stuff does need updated. Basically, we're setting up the new research, right? But we aren't going to be taking this from the controller. We're going to be taking it from what will be the research station and the comp input, right? So we are going to have to join that up, but we're also going to have to create the actual research things, right? Now, whether they're going to be bottles or whether they're going to be whatever's, not sure yet. But that's what we're going to have to do, right? And that's really thrown me off, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break for a minute just to clear my head again and get back to where we were. Don't go anywhere, I'll not be long, and we shall get on with this. Okay guys, we're back. Sorry about that, just had to clear my head with that, it just blew my mind. Right, now, the thing is, what we might be able to do here is, if we check on these items here, right, what we could do is got the research and we've got this. That's the right. What we actually need here is from models. What I'm actually thinking here is to create a test tube, but to be smart about it and basically make it out of this, right? So I'm just wondering if there's the water, that's the device round about it, there's the hatch, and there's the bottom, right? So what I'm thinking is, if we look at the water and we find out where that is. Now, it looks like the unfortunate thing is this isn't a complete thing. It's more like, yeah, it's just like a cylinder. It is just a cylinder. Right, now we could make our own in Blender, which I wouldn't do online because it'd be horrific to watch me try and do that. I can assure you, you really don't want to see me doing that. Now, here's the thing, what's this? This is like a cylinder but extruded a bit. Right, so yeah, okay. Let's have a look at the other things to see if there's anything there that we could use. Maybe that. Or maybe this. That would do. Yeah, that would do perfectly, in fact, you know. If, right, tell you what, we're doing some completely weird stuff, right? So what we're going to do is, what was that called? It was chemical container, wasn't it? And it was gas cylinder 03B. Okay. So what we could do is do a blueprint actor, call it BP test tube, right? And it's in the meshes under here. We can add a static mesh. Or is it going to be a static mesh in actual fact? Well, we'll do it like this for starters, right? See how it looks. We might need to create a duplicate of this. Can we duplicate it? Yeah, we can. So we could call it test tube. And then what we could do is change the material to MI water. Which gives us that. Okay. And that's all good. My problem here is we don't want to create it as a static mesh. We want to create it as an instance mesh. If it's going to go on the conveyor belts, it's going to have to go on as the mesh, but we're going to have to change the material on it. So what we might have to do is actually create copies of these for each colour and then create colours for them actually loading them onto the conveyor belts. Right, but we'll just have to go with the green for the moment, right? And what we're going to do is no collision, then on our transform, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it 180 on the Y. That's not going to work. Right, that should do it. We don't want to do that. Alright, hang on a second. Right. Okay, this is because it's not... Right, tell you what, we're not going to worry about that. We'll just plonk it on like this. Okay. Then what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to go into our recipes again. Okay. And we're going to have to have E items. And we've already got research type 1, which is fine. Then in recipes, we've got our research type 1. which is okay. And it's made in a fabricator. So we're going to have to change this, right? And we're going to have to dump this one and dump that one. And save that. Then we're going to have to go into our DT items, and we've got our research 1, and we're going to have to make our mesh test tube. Okay. And do we need to do anything else here? Nope. Is tradable? Nope. Craft by hand? Maybe. We're not going to have an image on that. So what we'll do is we'll save that. We'll come down here. We'll press play. We'll create a new game. Then we don't want that. We want to do our probes. And then we need a refiner and a smelter. And then finally a fabricator. And then we need one of them. Okay. And that's kind of not in the right place, is it? But it is bauxite. So we shall rotate these. Okay. And we set that to research type 1. Close that. We can start joining these together. So, like so. Like so. Like so. And then we can create our final one. Like so. And here we go. Let's see what it does. I don't think it's going to do anything, but I want to see what comes out of here, that's for sure. Oh, press the wrong button there. the interesting thing is, what is this going to output, if anything? What is this going to output, if anything? Well, it's going to output something. So it's going. I don't know what we need for this research item, by the way. I think it was 20 or something, wasn't it? Let's see if it did. It did, and there it goes. Awesome. Check that out, guys. So, in effect, what we need to do now is go to our... I should have saved that, shouldn't I? That was foolish. Anyway, we've got an input. So if we go to our components, and we know it's down in research, right? Here's our research component, and this isn't coming from, so we get the research requirements. Hi Coolder, how you doing, mate? Thanks for the kind words. So what we actually do is we pull it from the input of the research building, right? So I'm just going to do this in space first to see how much we're going to need. So we're going to say get owner. I'm not sure if we even need to do that. In fact, this would actually be better done, right here. And we basically say cast to research station, right? And if that's successful, we're going to promote to variable, and we shall just call it research station, right? So that's going to go in there. Now we are going to check this in a minute. And then with our research station, we're going to do input comp, get comp input, right? And this is going to be supply. right? And this was actually down here. So that goes in there. And this goes here. And we delete this out and we basically replace it with this. So anything going into this, it's actually now going to do the comp input. And it's going to process the research, right? So the interesting thing in this here is we need the controller to have a reference to whatever the player has selected as the research. And then when we create a research station, we check to see if there's anything getting researched at that point, and then set it to that. Right? Now, if it's not getting set at that point, then it obviously gets set with the button in the research tree. But we can't be sure the button from the research tree hasn't been pressed beforehand. Right? Say the player starts the game and says, I want to do probe 1, right? So they say, right, we want to do probe 1. And they click the button. So I'm going to have to tell the controller the current research. And then if somebody then creates a research station, then it automatically pulls it from the controller, right? But we shan't worry about that first. What we're going to worry about first is if this actually works, right? So hopefully, with any luck, this might actually work. So if we say new game, and it's going to be res test, okay, and the first thing we need is a mine, then we need the refinery, then we need the smelter, then we need the fabricator, and finally we need the researcher. Okay, and if we spin these around, get them all sorted out, and we're going to click on that and set that to research. Close that. Then we're going to have to obviously do that again. right? And now if we set up our conveyor belts, and that gets reset to the right position. I'm liking this, by the way that the repositioning is working. It makes things a lot easier, I can tell you that. Right, so everything's set up, ready to go, and it's the wrong type of mine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do probe and put it, yeah, let's put it there, and we'll do another one just in case. Right, we'll do it there. Oh, we need to set a research to probe 1. Okay. And if we hit a few L's, then that'll give us extra workers. And this is bauxite, so we can go with that. And there we go. And yep, we are getting iron sheets out. Spin that around. And here's our first one. And now do we have oh, the recipe for the research might not be right. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll save it. Is the research right? I'm going to stop this for now. Right, so it's giving us an error there. Which is fine. Ah, this isn't quite right. This isn't quite right at all. We need to think this through again, because we're going to have to do it on BPC research, and BPC research is no longer actually tasked with doing this. Well, it is, but this is going to have to be done in the controller, so that every time one of the research plants finishes an item, it adds to the overall total, because you can have more than one research station, right? So, hi Nuclearium, how you doing? Yeah, so this isn't right. What's going on here? We're doing stuff. I'm going to show you in a minute, right? So what's happening here is that this isn't right. Okay, so we're not going to be able to process this properly. But on the flip side, we can check if, and this is probably what we should have done, in here we should have seen if the supply was actually doing it, right? And if it was, then that is a big plus, right? So what we'll do is we'll run this again, right? We'll continue this, and that draws all our stuff back in, which is cool, I've got to say. And that's going to start again. What we'll do is we'll hit workers. Now for some reason the workers aren't starting up, or aren't being loaded again, but we can fix that up. We're not working on that right now. So basically bauxite is getting made into iron ore is getting passed to the smelter is going to give us iron sheets are going into the fabricator, and the fabricator is making research type 1. Then the research type 1 is going into the research station, and it is researching probes. Are you joking me? Did that do that there? Wait a minute. That ain't right. That should not be doing that. Yeah. Okay. So this should not be, this is not correct. So we can stop that for now. And this struct research requirements should not be getting set the way it is at the moment. Or at least, yes, it should, but the thing is that if we check on where our research button, right? We probably shouldn't be doing this. Now, our issue here is we're probably going to have to restart this because I think the recipes are wrong for the research. So let's have a look. It's research requirements, and the probe needs bauxite. So this is complete and utter waffle because we've just changed that to be research type 1 basically. So it requires research type 1, and let's say that's 50. And then this one is going to be removed, so we can save that. Right. So we're going to have to start a new game. So it's going to be res test 2. So first thing we do is put down a probe, and then we start building our buildings again. Okay, so that's the first one down. Then we'll get smelter done. Then we get the fabricator done. And finally we do the research, which we will stick about here. Then we shall spin that around, and that, and that. Then we shall couple these up again. Sorry guys, but it has to be done, I'm afraid. Join that, then we join this one, then we join this one, okay, and now we check our miner, and it's copper ore, so we basically need to do another probe, do it here, and just to make sure we'll do another one here. So need to wait till these activate, and what we'll do in the meantime is we shall start that researching, even though it's not going to actually do anything, and that's copper ore, which ain't ideal, and it's a copper ore show at the moment. Do one there, and one there. That doesn't seem to have worked. Okay. Just need to wait in a box out here. You can see our collision's working well. Oh, a lot of bit of drifting there. Okay, this is bauxite. Right, so what we do now is we join these on. And we hit a few more L's. Now, we aren't going to get the percentage here. Right, but oh, I didn't set these, did I? I need to set that to there. Right, you can see now that our thing isn't actually processing at the moment now. It should basically only start processing when we actually receive something. So we're going to have to wait until basically our stuff starts getting made. Right, and here we go. So there we have our iron sheet going into the fabricator. And once that's done, we should start getting out, and here comes the first test tube. And in it goes. Now, if we look at our research thing, we ain't hitting it. So this seems to suggest that it needs research type 1. And it's false, right? So what we actually need to have a look at here is the research station. And see what the comp input says. Comp input has one thing, and it's bauxite for some reason. So we need to check why this S supply is set up to be bauxite. I think I actually know why, and it's because basically we're using a copy of a previous, right? So the S supply is going to be set up, but it won't be the correct thing. So anyway, I'm going to take a break for now. If you've watched, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Check out the description for Patreon, Discord server, my previous game. And if you liked it, hit the subscribe button. and I hope to see you this evening when I will be streaming again at 8 p.m. Central, and hopefully we shall have our research actually researching. Bye bye for now.